On this episode of the 2X eCommerce podcast show, I'm going to be talking about a new e-commerce and online retail focused blockchain protocol. Do stay tuned. Welcome to 2X eCommerce, the e-commerce marketing growth podcast where you ask questions and I, Kunle, answers them. Also hear from proven marketing growth experts who are number one or number two in specialist areas of online retail marketing. So if you work in or own an online retail business, listen in, get involved, join me, and let's put some fuel to skyrocket your e-commerce growth.
So an inbound marketing strategist, how do you beat Amazon?
Natural search and our search engine position is critical to the customer flow through the website.
I personally would not have an account process interrupt checkout flow at all.
My favorite customer lifetime value calculation is an easy one. It's your average order value times that purchase frequency times your customer lifespan.
I'm Kunle Campbell. Let's get rolling. This episode is brought to you by Klaviyo. It is a game-changing email automation tool specifically built for scaling e-commerce businesses. I'm not just saying it. I use Klaviyo in my e-commerce store, and stores I advise for. Household names in the e-commerce space such as Brooklyn Inn, Bonobos, and Chubbies use Klaviyo. Here's why. Klaviyo has one of the most impressive feature sets in the e-commerce email personalization space at the moment. Besides the one-click setup, Klaviyo's Pixel tracks visitor behavior to help you set up highly effective custom email funnels. Klaviyo also offers pre-built autoresponders for cart abandonment, upsells, and win-back campaigns. Klaviyo's most game-changing feature is its Facebook Audiences integration, which helps your email list to sync up with your Facebook ad campaigns. So as you continue to scale up your store, Klaviyo will help automate a lot more sales. Try Klaviyo today on klaviyo.com, spelled Klaviyo.com. Hello, listeners. Welcome to the 2X e-commerce podcast show. I'm your host, Kunle Campbell, and this is the podcast show dedicated to rapid growth in online retail, not at the enterprise, neither at the micro retailer level. If you are gaining momentum and you want to 2X, 3X, or 10X your e-commerce business, listen into the show, go back to old issues, subscribe, and also leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform or podcast player. Basically, I handpick guests who come to this show and I ask them one question. They have to fit a criteria and before they come on this show. And the key criteria is, can the guests I bring to this show actually provide valuable information and insights to help you, my listeners, actually rapidly grow metrics such as conversions, average order value, repeat customers, traffic, and ultimately sales. If they can, I bring them on to the show. On today's episode, I have, it's really interesting. It's not necessarily going to be marketing focused. It's more futurist. I have with me a co-founder of a blockchain technology specifically for e-commerce. Now, this blockchain technology sits on the Ethereum blockchain. And it is quite interesting. They want to fundamentally change the way online retail is done outside of Amazon, the way it's executed from a front-end perspective. I had a look at their white paper. I picked them up on Twitter. I reached out to them. And because, this is an e-commerce, podcast, I thought, okay, let's see what this is all about, what this blockchain technology is about. And they were happy to come on today's episode to talk about it. The name of the protocol is called SHOP. And basically, it's a decentralized data marketplace, apparently, that will potentially help retailers market more, and also on the front end with customers, provide customers or, customers with a wallet, basically almost like a PayPal. And because, customers have this wallet on the front end, it pretty much will enable them, shop at, on websites that have this protocol, and also allow customers provide their information for you to better market to them. I've not done it sufficient justice, but that is kind of like the gist. And it is quite interesting. They're about to ICO. They just came back from the conference, the very popular conference South by Southwest. And yeah, it's a very, very interesting platform. And I would, encourage you to listen to this episode, with the founder or co-founder. His name is John Wantz. It's a shop protocol, and it's worth checking out. It's worth checking out. The website is shoppers.shop, shoppers.shop. And it is quite interesting with regards to, how they're pre-launch at the moment and the pre-sale launch, and they're going to launch their ICO on April 29th of 2018. I just felt that, look, this is an e-commerce, very e-commerce focused and retail focused blockchain protocol, blockchain ICO, and it's worth checking out if you're involved into retail. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce John Wantz to the show. Okay, welcome to the show, John. Could you take a minute or less to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. John Wantz. I'm up in Seattle, Washington. I've been working in e-commerce and retail for about a decade. Had a chance to start an e-commerce company that worked on a lot of the buy now experiences that Twitter, Pinterest, and Facebook were rolling out in 2013 and 14. After that, I was a product lead in Target's innovation group out of Minneapolis.
Okay. And I see you're a mentor at Techstars.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to help some of the retail cohort in Techstars grow. One of those companies that I was a mentor of actually just got acquired by Bizarre Voice last month. And the other two are doing really well as well also.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so the reason you're here is this just popped into my screen. I've been watching ICOs, and I have seen the lack of ICOs related to retail and e-commerce in general, and some of the ones I've come across are lackluster to say the least. But your proposition, having read your white paper, made a lot of sense actually, and so I reached out to you guys, and I really wanted to speak with you because you're pre-ICO right now, and you're very much into the entire e-commerce, front end e-commerce experience, which is based off on your shop protocol. So I'd like you to, in the lamest of terms, describe what the protocol is all about, what it looks like, end to end to listeners. And then we could dive into more detail.
Absolutely. So, kind of got to start with a basic understanding of blockchain. So today, brand and shopper data are stored in centralized servers. So PayPal servers, Amazon servers, Shopify servers, and that creates limitations around how brands and shoppers can leverage their data, own their data, and permission their data. And so and that ends up creating a lot of complicated economics in retail, where these centralizing authorities can impose tariffs and fees and for processing transactions and kind of owning the transaction layer and being able to kind of operate as the middleman. So in order to try to decouple that leverage that they have from brands and shoppers, we wanted to be able to move brand and shopper data down into the blockchain, so that no one could centralize and control that data again. And so what we're doing with the shop protocol is more or less the layer that manages the operations and the ins and outs of all of that brand and shopper data that needs to move in and out of the blockchain. So out of the blockchain into a discovery app or a marketplace. And when a transaction occurs, it moves back through the protocol down into a blockchain. So it's kind of operating as like a commerce platform. We like to think of it as an operating system that runs on top of the blockchain for retail and commerce, and it manages it. Go ahead.
What blockchain? Ethereum, smart could you?
Yeah, okay. Totally. So all the blockchains are very early, and Ethereum is the most popular. We've looked at a lot. We have a great relationship with a blockchain up here in Seattle called Archain. Mm-hmm. For right now, the blockchains that is farthest down the road that could support our use case is Ethereum. So we will be building on Ethereum and go to market on Ethereum. And we're excited for the blockchain companies and foundations roadmaps to unfold. Things like speed and performance and scale isn't readily available in today's blockchain. So there's a lot of outside of the chain development that we have to do to support use cases because, for a lot of reasons.
Okay, so is this going to be a public blockchain or a private one? Off-chain.
Great question. Yeah. We will be posting right now. We're entertaining putting all shopper data directly onto a public blockchain that will be extremely secure, cryptographically secure. Only shoppers will be able to move their data on or off the chain. And this is something a shopper may even not know is actually occurring. We're going to make sure we productize it, make it very simple for people to know that at the end of the day, they just own and control their data. And then some of the brand data, so product imagery and some of the product data sets, it doesn't make a ton of economic sense to put that onto a blockchain. So we're going to probably have some of the product data, not necessarily transaction data. We want transaction data on chain for security purposes, but product data we will have that off chain, but we will have a record of what product data we have off chain. We'll at least post a hashed record of that off-chain product data on the chain.
Is a hash a reference?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. This makes sense. Okay. Right. Okay. So again, I'm going to try and break this to layman's terms, for listeners, because not everybody is aware of how the blockchain works. So I'm going to give you two scenarios here. Scenario one is what we currently have today. I want a pair of glasses, or I want a pair of shoes. I go to Amazon, right? I search for the pair of shoes. I want slippers, brown slippers. Summer is coming or spring is coming, and I put it in. I look at the results. I look at the reviews and the results, and then I go by the reviews and the results. I check if I have the size. If they have my size, I select it. Put in my basket, check out, and a pair of shoes will be with me in 2 to 3 working days max. Mm-hmm. In the world of .shop, post ICO, post the deployment of the operating system of the protocol, what would shopping look like going forward?
Great question. We would hope it would be as usual as a consumer, as a consumer is used to today. We know that there's some delivery efficiencies that Amazon has with Prime, but we intend to support and allow for marketplaces to ride on top of the protocol, mm-hmm. and provide modern retail experiences. We're not looking to reinvent the workflows from delivery times to product selection to checkout flows. Mm-hmm. We're just wanting to allow for those existing experiences today to just ride on top of a backend infrastructure that doesn't by nature centralize all the brand and shopper data. So for example...
So what would marketplaces need to change when they adopt the shop protocol? Say, for instance, Etsy decides to work with the shop protocol. What would it look like? What do they need to tweak in their backend to adapt?
Great question. So we acquired KingaShop.com. So Kinga was a influencer marketplace where it was like an environment where an influential, social media user could invite some of their fans on, and they could post about products, and those people could buy right there natively in Kinga. Okay. And so that actual, use case of Kinga ran 100% on Nordstrom's products and Amazon's products. So that doesn't work for us because our intent is to work directly with brand and manufacturers. So we moved off of Amazon and Nordstrom's data, and what we did is we, instead of pointing kind of Kinga's API towards consuming that product information, we pointed it towards the shop protocol. And so for an Etsy or a Kinga or any other marketplace that wants to access brand feeds, like product feeds or shopper data, we have a very simple REST interface. And so it's as easy to build on as it would be to build on top of Shopify's API. And that's, for a developer and a marketplace to be able to access new inventory and new brand products, and to be able to enable the shoppers that have a shop wallet to be able to check out in that environment. Mm-hmm. That's where we spend a lot of time, is making it very consumable for the existing kind of retail developer space. And there's a lot of use cases and a lot of understanding of how, data needs to move back and forth and how to facilitate checkouts, and that we're going to make very, very easy for developers to do.
Okay. So from my understanding, the drop shop protocol is likely to benefit brands and consumers the most. They stand to benefit because what you're essentially doing is decentralizing, these centralized middlemen, more or less, like the Amazons, the PayPals, and, major marketplaces. And you want brands, on the one hand, to have as much information and share as much information into your decentralized, data portal, API, and you want consumers, on the other hand, to own as much information, or as much of their data as possible. Does that make sense? And could you flesh that out, please?
Absolutely. So as a co-op, so we're a Washington State cooperative. We're in the business of economic benefit for brands and shoppers. So that's our job. Okay. And we're biased towards ensuring that as those constituents continue to meet each other inside of marketplaces and ad networks, that their value not be commoditized. And so I would hope that they would benefit, but we still need the ecosystem. We need retailers, we need marketplaces, we need ad networks to help connect brands and shoppers. And so I think when we think about the economics, we're looking to create a more efficient marketplace. And so, we do have incentives for third-party marketplaces or ad networks or retailers to actually be part of the data exchange. So, for example, there's a couple kind of tier 2 retailers here in North America that are interested in developing on the protocol. And what that looks like is they would get access to the brands and shoppers data that is stored on the blockchain. And when a transaction occurs, if that retailer or if that app or that marketplace has additional information about that brand and shopper, for example, let's say that there's some way and they're able to collect maybe a fit profile or gender or shoe size, and that information doesn't currently exist in the protocol, we actually will compensate them, and we will pay them for helping us build out broader data sets about brands and shoppers. And so we're hoping that collaborative relationship and those economics will incentivize ecosystem participation from a data set growth standpoint. And then ultimately, we hope that if brands have more information about how their products are performing, and they're able to have better turnaround times on product development, or have tighter supply chain visibility, because they now actually understand like what the sell-through rates are in these environments, or they understand more about their customers. We're ultimately, we hope that they'll be able to make better products, and that more efficiency and throughput can occur in the market that ultimately would help retailers. We're not looking to displace any of the existing incumbents. We just want to create economic incentives so that the data that they're by nature storing and centralizing and keeping away from brands and shoppers, that we could have a better throughput in democratizing the sharing of that data, and deleverage them from that. And some ad networks or marketplaces will want to participate and some won't. And we hope that over time, the more brands and shoppers that we collect in the co-op, we will bear more influence in the market and how they should or shouldn't respond to that collaboration.
Okay. So Amazon controls about last year, it was about 44% of all e-commerce sales in the USA. Obviously, there's no way Amazon would want to share their data, with anybody. Does that mean you are, trying to cater for the remaining 56% of the market, in terms of creating a very collaborative data exchange to, just better improve efficiencies in retail?
In short, yes. We don't have some sort of integration, interoperability, or collaboration with Amazon on the roadmap by any means. What we're focused on is connecting with brands who want to sell direct to consumers. And so we think that there's a lot of other channels, and there still is a window of time where brands who make products that consumers desire and love, they have a shot to actually get to those consumers. And so, one of the acquisitions that we've made is foxcommerce.com, which is a web store platform similar to a Shopify or a Salesforce Commerce Cloud solution. So, whether it's selling direct to consumer or us integrating and us creating relationships with other marketplaces or ad networks to drive that discovery and demand, that's where we will play ball. We are talking to some of the other big marketplaces that are interested in this kind of collaborative relationships with brands and shoppers. You'd be surprised, in a call with one of the very, very big marketplaces here in the States, they brought up the term morality and realizing that, that what they're doing, the brands, isn't sustainable from a morality standpoint. So, I think, Amazon is only concerned about Amazon. And I saw yesterday that I think everyone's aware of like the private lines in Amazon Basics that they're developing. And, they have something like 44 LLCs that are Amazon owned brands that they sell on the platform. And of the Amazon brands, apparel has been probably the hardest area for Amazon to commoditize. Like if you look at things like batteries or Ethernet cables, Amazon was able to look at the data from those third-party sellers and rapidly commoditize their value and move them out of the marketplace. And now they have supply control and they have price control over those categories. And yesterday I read that they're just at about 14% of all apparel on Amazon. And that includes the fact that Nike's now selling on there. 14% is Amazon owned brands.
Significant. That's a significant chunk.
I mean, if I had a guess, I'd say in 12 months, we're going to be north of 25, maybe pushing on 30%. Like they're acting to plan for sure.
And because it becomes addictive and, routine for customers, you just get used to the habits of just, buying certain brands on Amazon, which will be Amazon, own brand. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. Okay. Let's fast forward let's put another use case. So for listeners who are still not quite there yet with regards to the value proposition, let's put a use case, and I think this one may help them. I'm a brand, right? I'm a founder. I just started out an apparel brand. I was selling yoga pants or leggings for females, and I approached. I've decided so I'm going to run my sites on Shopify, for instance. I'm doing a lot of marketing on Facebook. I'm doing a lot of marketing with influencers. I'm trying to get as much press, and attention as possible. At what point should I consider adopting the shop protocol? And what benefits is it going to help me? What benefits is it going to provide to help me grow, and hit my target sales-wise?
Great. So if you're just starting out and just all you really care about is top line sales, and that's really all you should care about, is developing great relationships with your customers, understanding your customers, and growing. So I think any brand should really care about the protocol when the protocol can start to actually generate income for it. And add to its sell-through. And so, our job will be to go out and create those environments where we can drive consumer demand and drive conversions for a brand really of any stage and size. And, there are, interestingly, some bigger, more established brands that are interested in operating more holistically on the protocol today. But we're spending a little bit more time with some early stage brands because we like the story of thinking about how if a brand who's just starting out actually has an opportunity to directly understand their customer and have access to all of that customer information through the customer permissioning it out and kind of doing that value exchange with the customer at the point of sale, we think that could dramatically change like a designer's thinking and a designer's approach to market. And so, for us, we don't want to create like unnatural behavior where there's more work to be done. We're making it really easy for a brand to move their data into the protocol so that we can drive more sales for them. So I think that, any brand should just stay aware of the kind of upside and consumer insights that could be made available through the protocol, and just make a decision as to when the time's right to add it. We've integrated with all leading e-com platforms, so it's going to be really easy for a brand to move its data over, and they can maintain all of their existing workflows, sell through Amazon, sell on Shopify. But think about integrating.
So there are 2 points I'm going to just dig further into. One are the data points a brand will provide the shop protocol, and the other are still the benefits for growth. To any business. But let's touch base on the first, which is really the brand, if that makes sense. So. Yeah,
absolutely. So the data points that it needs to integrate?
Exactly, to provide, quite openly to the protocol. Okay.
So there's 2 things that need to happen. One is we just need to gain access to your products. Mm-hmm. And then the second is we just need to understand the permissioning associated with those products. And so permissioning is, what kind of channels can we put them into? What kind of incentives can we make available to shoppers? What kind of ad networks or marketplaces can we move them into? And we turn those permissions into smart contracts, mm-hmm. so that then your product data is just accessible to the market. So rather than you having to think about all those things, if you can just set the rules for the kind of margin you'd like to see, the kind of sites that you do or don't want to be on, and we're going to make this as easy as possible for brands. We'll do the rest. The protocol will do the rest.
Okay, let's go to the next step. Now, what will the protocol do with the data?
Yep. We will have an ecosystem of partnerships with marketplaces or ad networks or consumer, retail experiences, where we then will send your product data up into those environments and allow for transactions and beneficial experiences to occur, whether that's, discovery experiences where shoppers can get exposed to your products, or a marketplace environment where maybe they can convert and transact those products. It's our job to partner with the ecosystem.
So is this more like multi-channel e-commerce, multi-channel marketing, basically, where you're going to go to marketplaces, you're going to go to channels, and you're going to promote these products?
That in short, yeah. Shopping is discovery through transaction. That's kind of the way I look at it. And so it's, we're accountable for supporting both ends of the spectrum for the brands and the co-op.
Okay. And then what you do is you write them a check. You give them, monies for all the revenue you're able to generate.
We won't be using checks. We'll be using our cryptographic
your token.
Okay. Yeah, but in short, yes, that's our job, is driving new economic benefit for those brands.
Okay, makes sense. And then beyond that, what about inventory management? Would you have any access to the inventory, or would it just you have to, because once you can't tell what's run out?
Yeah, those integrations that we have. So there's a previous venture that some of the team members and myself worked on called Commerce. And what Commerce did is we powered some of the early buy now experiences inside of Twitter and Facebook. Okay. And so what that looked like is we did all the back end plumbing with like Shopify, Magento, Demandware at the time, IBM. And we've acquired all that code and intellectual property, and there's an interesting patent associated with all that. And we can actually you can use your existing systems, and we can just integrate with them and move that product catalog and move that product information over into our environment.
Okay.
And if your inventory updates on Shopify, for example, we will see that, and then we will persist that over in our environment.
Okay, so from a front-end customer point of view, what are they going to see in these marketplaces or in these channels? Are they going to see the brand, or are they going to see shop?
Good question. They'll see the brand. The first marketplace that's deploying on the platform is kangashop.com.
How do you spell?
Kanga.
Okay.
.shop. And what Kanga is Kanga used to run on run on Amazon and Nordstrom product feeds, and now it's just running on the Shop protocol. And Kanga is a feeless marketplace, and so brands don't pay any sort of referral fees or listing fees to sell on Kanga. It's 100% feeless, and then those are brand direct relationships. So this is you're selling direct to consumer. And the consumer gets to know your brand, buy direct from you in a third party marketplace, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And the only time that the brand shop comes into play is just at the checkout for the consumer. So how we're coming to market from a consumer standpoint, and this might kind of help explain some of how the blockchain comes in all this is, we're coming to market as a wallet for consumers. And so the shop wallet, we hope for consumers to start seeing in a multitude of environments. And that's where...
Which is like a Google wallet or a PayPal or...
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Exactly. So you're managing pretty much two things inside of the wallet. One is you're managing your balance of your tokens. And then you're managing, in addition to that, you'll also be managing kind of your credit card information. And then you're also managing what we call persona. And persona is all of the information about you, whether it's your shopping habits, your marketing data, your shipping information, everything that uniquely defines you to a brand.
So it's a combination of a loyalty card and and a credit card all in one, but with crypto.
So that's a way we like to think about it.
Okay.
And so at the point of sale, if a brand who manufactures products for you wants to know you and understand you, they can give you a discount or a reward for you to share some or all of your persona information. And so we're going to make that really easy and simple. Like if you're a very meaningful inside of a very meaningful demographic and a brand wants to have a good, rich understanding of you and a long-term relationship, they probably want to know more about you. And so they'll probably pay you more in tokens for that information.
Bingo. Okay.
And then if you're maybe just like a regular shopper and you buy a product once a year and you don't have a very meaningful persona profile, you may not get a huge discount. And so we're not setting those discounts or those tiers. We're going to let kind of the free market between brands and shoppers play that out. But that shopper information, that's a really good example of that's all of the data today that like Facebook, Google, Amazon is consuming about us.
Yeah.
And we're even kind of nervous to show consumers how much information we're just going to be easily collecting on them, or that they're going to be filling out, or that we're going to integrate from other sites that we're getting data from to put it back down into their area on the blockchain.
Okay.
And it's going to be alarming, I think, to see how much value they're able to create off of that.
So I suppose post ICO, the challenge would be obviously you have a chicken and egg, situation in which are you going to, which comes first, getting as many brands on board or, getting as many customers. But I suppose you want to get as many customers on board using the wallet. So, that's an incentive for, brands to switch up channels, because I'm sure they already manage, all the channels, most of the channels you're going to be on. But if they know that consumers are using the wallet in the first place, it's more of an incentive for them to say, let's give, full control to the shop protocol to manage, our marketing on all marketplaces and, in all channels. Is that,
Yeah, that's definitely the way we're thinking about it. We think that the first marketplace in Kanga, we have a team going out acquiring brands for that environment. But until we have massive consumer demand, it's not going to be extremely economically like motivating for a brand to adopt the protocol. And so it's complete chicken and egg. But what's great about kind of being able to use the token is we're minting and creating 1 billion tokens. Mm-hmm. And we're going to use 450 million of those tokens to incentivize shoppers for discounts and rewards. And, and we're going to do that over 8 years. So we have, if you're correct in thinking of it as like a loyalty program, we intend to kind of put our foot on the gas as it pertains to customer acquisition over the next 8 years with the wallet. To drive that demand. And then we also are setting aside around 350 million tokens to incentivize the brands and then the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And so our compensation strategies on how we attract people early versus how we compensate them long-term will shift. But we're able to create the economic benefit for someone to join the network early because there could be kind of meaningful upside in the amount of data that they could collect over time. Okay.
Just rounding up now, is the token going to be, how are you going to value the token? Is it going to appreciate, or is it going to be a security token, or is it going to be, what's the second type of token? I'm not that good, but is it going to be at parity to the US dollar, or how are you going to put value to the token?
Good question. Yeah, there's kind of two.
Utility versus, is it a utility token or a security token? Sorry.
Great question. So let's start there, and then we'll talk about valuing. So, today, before the token's minted, we have accredited investors here in the States, and then some folks globally that are interested in acquiring the token before it's available. And today that would be a security transaction. At the point of minting it, we will have environments where you can use the token in Kinga and inside of Fox and inside of the Shop wallet. And at that point, it will become a utility, and it will be a utility thereafter. And so we've spent about 8 months and a lot of time doing diligence around this specific area. And we have a former SEC regulator that's come on as our in-house counsel to really make sure that we're navigating this appropriately and doing everything above board. And we're very comfortable in the position that we've taken as it pertains to this being utility token after it's available.
Sounds good. Still sounds good. To me, it makes a lot of sense. I just wish you the very best on here. Thank you so much, John, for joining the show and for letting just letting our listeners know a lot more about the Shop protocol.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, cheers. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. To download the show notes and read the full transcripts and to find previous episodes of the show, head over to 2xecommerce.com/podcast. Also be sure to follow me on Twitter. My handle is Kunle T. Campbell and the 2x e-commerce handle is @2x e-commerce. If you want to find out more about John and his Shop protocol, head over to their website, shoppers.shop. And their handle on Twitter is _shoppersshop on Twitter. You could follow them on Twitter. Thank you so much again. And if you haven't already, please write us a review and subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, because it helps us, reach more people. If you like today's episode, also share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. 2x e-commerce is produced by me, Kunle Campbell, with the help of Buban Markej. Thank you all for listening. Do have a good one and catch you next week. Bye-bye. So that was a wrap on this week's episode of 2x e-commerce. Remember, you can catch me every week and also send your questions and comments on Twitter using the hashtag 2xecommerce. Keep yourself in the loop by subscribing to this podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcasting app. It only takes a few seconds and it means you'll get the most up-to-date episodes to help you grow your online store. Do have a good one till I catch you on the next show. Bye-bye.